Carl Hanlon doesn't give a damn, son. If your child is sick and in the hospital, Carl Hanlon thinks that it's okay for that hospital to hold that child for ransom, son. Scott Tipton's for the rich man's son, like Manson dancing on his grandsons. These motherfuckers won't give working people a chance, son. So this is Colorado District 3. It encompasses the entire western third of the state from the Wyoming border to Arizona. So San Miguel County, Mesa County, Grand Junction, Durango, Montezuma County. Can you all hear me? Are you all paying attention? So I'm going to talk about this race, but first I want to talk about this Supreme Court case about redistricting. When the 2020 census happens, when the U.S. does their 2020 census, the state of Colorado needs to redistrict the same time, or else they'll lose it to the courts. The districts on the map, anybody who lives in district number 47, you got Judy Ryer representing you, right? You're so Pueblo, right? Pueblo is so progressive. Then how come Judy Ryer, who thinks all Democrats should be bitch slapped, all independents and Democrats should be bitch slapped? If you don't vote Republican, Judy Ryer thinks violence should happen to your fucking face and your families and everything about you. That's who Judy Ryer is. And Scott Tipton has been representing the 3rd Congressional District for nearly a decade now, and he is a right-wing Republican troll, rank and file, whatever Trump says he does, that's who the hell Tipton is. Now, Tipton, which is ironic because Carl Hanlon is running in the Democratic primary, so you'd think that he had, some left-leaning, some liberal heart-leaning. Why were you a Democrat? Why would Carl Hanlon become a Democrat? I'm perplexed. I have no idea why Carl Hanlon would become a Democrat. Scott Tipton is for the CHIP program, but goes to universal health care. They said, hey, Scott Hanlon, are you for universal health care? And he's like, well, I'm a little fucking namby-pamby Nancy. I can't stand up for any principled issues. So he basically said that he was for some kind of mixed system, but he failed to endorse single payer. He declined to endorse it. Is he for universal health care? Is he for Medicare for all, Medicaid for all? Is he for what Germany's been doing for the past 150 fucking years? You know when Germany got their health insurance, their universal health care? In the 1870s. 1870s. They've been taking care of their health because apparently the government of Germany felt you take care of the people. And health is, their health, it's their life. So you want to take care of the people, so you want to take care. Make sure they got jobs, make sure they got good health, make sure they got decent education. So people that are against universal health care might be against your public education too. Pull out all the funds for public article. Carl Hanlon, he just said that it was at Carver's Restaurant in Durango. So Carver's Restaurant is a big thing in Durango. Durango has a population of 17,000. According to 2010 census, it's the home of the Fort Lewis College, and it's located in La Plata County, Colorado. So city of Durango is the county seat and the most populous municipality of La Plata County, Colorado, United States. So that's where Scott Hanlon said at the Carver's Restaurant. So that's a big deal. Oh, he went to the Carver's, but that's more important, right? Carl Hanlon went to the Carver's Restaurant. He said he didn't give a goddamn about any of our health and our health care. He didn't care, Nana died of some diabetes on her deathbed because she didn't have no damn health care. He didn't give a damn about none of our health, but he did come to Carver's and he said hi to me, so, is that good enough? For some people it might be. So he's opposed to single-payer universal health care. Is he opposed to children's health care? Tipton gives some lip service to the Children's Health Insurance Program, the CHIP program, which is Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton got the Children's Health Care Insurance Program, the CHIP program, up and running, and they haven't financed it, they haven't funded it, but I did see Scott Tipton actually give some lip service. He wrote a letter and said, you know what, it's time to put money into the CHIP thing. So even though he's for the Republicans and Donald Trump and he's a rank-and-file Republican, he did give some lip service. So basically think about the marijuana thing. He's been opposed to marijuana his whole life, and so he gives lip service to the marijuana industry, but he doesn't truly believe it. But at least he gave some lip service. Carl Hanlon is against universal health care. Does he believe that children should have health care? Scott Tipton, at least out loud, is saying he believes universal health care for children. All children should be taken care of. If you're an American and you're sick and you go into the hospital, you should be taken care of. That is what Tipton is saying. Hanlon, do you believe that children should have health care or not? Do you want to pull them off of health care too? So he's not for universal health care. I guess he'll probably say, yeah, keep Medicare and Medicaid. But what about, so basically he's essentially saying that only the poor and only the elderly get health care, but the people that's in the middle, the major bulk of the people, fuck all those people. If they get sick, they'll have to declare bankruptcy, lose their goddamn house if they have a big enough operation. An opposition party is absolutely necessary. In a democracy, we must have an opposition party to stop groupthink. Groupthink is so easily, right? The Fuhrer said we all got to do this. And also, as a necessary constructive release valve, the criticism could be for a vital corrective measure. No, we need to start giving a shit about our kids, and we need to give a shit about the health of the people, Carl Hanlon. I know you're not in favor of universal health care, but we need to fix your backwards bullshit, and we need to provide water and other services. And any poor person starting out knocking on your door and just being like, basically like Scott Tipton, I'm not going to give a shit about your interests. I'm just going to go ahead and give a shit about the wealthy and the rich. I'm not going to fight for any water services or for health care. I'm not going to fight anything for you, really. I'm going to let the rich do as the fuck as they please, and you're on your own. If anything, maybe that's, a breath of fresh air. Well, we've been on our own since we've been born, so, no shit, Sherlock. But it would be nice to actually have some progressive representatives, people that's actually in office that reflect me and what I give a shit about people. I don't see anybody in office that actually truly gives a shit about people. Diane Bush wants to talk to you. Give her a call. She will talk to you. And, when it comes to Diane Bush, it's time to bring the Bushes back, right? Well, I guess I am pro-Bush when it comes to Diane Bush. I'm also pro-Bush just in, general, like big old bushes. That's my thing. Old J.D. Bush lover is what they call it. So they used to call me old J.D. Hey, there goes old J.D. Bush lover. Yep. It's my thing. I like, just as soon as it just like boom, like chia pet, like just a jungle. I want a damn jungle. Okay. So Diane Bush, she helped to create the nation's first state public lands day. So in Colorado, we got state lands, public lands day in Colorado. Why? Because of Diane Bush. Diane Bush has an extensive, lengthy legislative record. And I'm going to go through this because we know exactly who she is and what she stands for. She says we need to celebrate our public lands. I agree. Diane Bush passed legislation to allow for the personal collection of rainwater. Excellent. There's actually places that criminalize the collection of rainwater. Rain falls upon your house, and they say you can't do it. Why? Because you got to pay your water bill, and that's how they just criminalize collecting rainwater. Isn't that some bullshit? Diane Bush passed legislation to stop that bullshit from happening. Diane Bush is a progressive. She already helped establish renewable energy standards for electric co-ops. SB 13-252. The Public Lands Day is SB 16-021. Diane Bush boosted wildfire preparedness and prevention. Diane Bush will hold giant corporations, make sure they're held accountable, especially if they're endangering people's lives and their health for their own profit. Diane Bush will help people and businesses properly dispose of their waste. Diane Bush has passed legislation that will build up our sustainable infrastructure to better recycle wastewater, prevent toxins from entering our environment, and to increase energy efficiency. Diane Bush has already passed legislation to develop more renewable energy sources that create jobs and keep our air cleaner. Diane Bush is for a multimodal 21st century transportation project. So she wants better roads and bridges, airports, bike, pedestrian facilities, public transit, and rail. She'll increase access to affordable high-speed internet for rural communities. Diane Bush will invest in water projects to ensure we treat wastewater properly, protect our drinking water. Diane Bush has sponsored and passed the Debt-Free Schools Act, HB 16-1354, with bipartisan support. Diane Bush will has cut outmoded, burdensome accounting and decision-making requirements for Colorado Mountain College, HB 16-1259 and HB 15. She's capped yearly tuition increases at 6%. I wish we could go lower, but she's capped capping them. No, you can't keep on. No more than 6%. That's what? That's inflation. No more than 6% for our state public universities and college. So she's capping higher. Bush is capping higher education expenses, and she is also increasing funding for higher education. So she's putting more money into education and then also making sure that they take less out of the people's pockets. Diane Bush funded grants for adult education and literacy across Colorado to increase economic opportunity and to help struggling adults find jobs to support themselves and their families. Diane Bush has expanded the child care tax credits, enhanced child care program assistance. She's helped small businesses grow and create good jobs in our community. Diane Bush has provided legal representation for victims of family violence through the Family Violence Justice Grants. Diane Bush has strengthened enforcement mechanisms that prohibit discrimination in employment, housing, and with public accommodation by funding the Colorado Civil Rights Commission. Diane Bush has repeatedly supported measures to equalize pay differences between men and women. So she's feminist. Men and women be paid for the exact same work, the exact same amount? Of course they should. It's 2018 and we're still talking about this shit. So, when it comes to the Me Too movement and Donald Trump and all that, the sexual assaults, you're guaranteed not to get, not guaranteed, but very likely not to get, she won't pull her dick out because she don't have a dick. So you're going to have a lot less of that bullshit to worry about. So should women, of course, women should be treated like men, of course. Their complaints, that's the criminal justice process begins with a complaint. That's how our entire criminal justice system is initiated. It starts out with a complaint. So Diane Bush started the process of examining our options to reduce healthcare and insurance costs in our mountain communities. She is pro-universal healthcare. Diane Bush will end Citizens United. Diane Bush is pro-choice. Diane Bush will protect internet freedom and privacy. Diane Bush will fight against discrimination. She's for equal pay and for equal rights. Diane Bush will protect net neutrality. She'll oppose the Patriot Act. She'll protect the rights and freedoms all Americans have in their Bill of Rights, including the right to assemble and to petition. Diane Bush wants everybody to vote. She will not suppress the vote. She wants to end Citizens United. She will protect gay people and their rights. Diane Bush believes in protecting net neutrality so that small businesses can compete right off the bat. She wants to protect net neutrality. What did Tipton and Trump do? They fucked up net neutrality. Diane Bush disincentivizes corporations from taking jobs overseas. Diane Bush wants to protect students and their families from predatory lending so they don't end up in debt that drains their ability to succeed in our economy. Diane Bush wants to create apprenticeships so our citizens are prepared to enter the workforce. Bush is talking about keeping our rivers free flowing in their basin of origin. So in the Piceance Basin, right? Make sure that they stay. Water is so important. Water is vital. There was a bit by Sam Kinison saying, why should we send food out to those people starving over there because they live out in the desert? Why don't you go to where the food is? Well, we live in the damn desert, so we need our water. Water needs to be for us. That's why Public Lands Day is so important. So Diane Bush will keep our rivers free flowing in their basin of origin. She's for energy efficiency and renewables, so solar, wind power, all these. She wants to helped to create the nation's first Public Lands Day. She's improved our infrastructure, road, school. She's in favor of Wi-Fi. She wants high-speed broadband internet for everybody. She's in favor of affordable housing, and she wants to, she's just a good person all. What does Scott Tipton stand for? Well, if we look at what Trump has done, whatever Trump has done, he's gone along with Trump with every step of the way. So let's just take a look at that Trump's done. He's destroyed net neutrality. He got us out of the Paris Climate Accord, so he doesn't give a shit about the environment. The 1% plutocracy tax cuts. 87% of the American people had their taxes raised on them. But at least the 1% got their tax cuts, the estate taxes repealed, Trump's accomplishments. So the attempts to undermine marijuana legalization. Scott Tipton was like, hey, don't do that, Jeff Sessions. I'm like, what the fuck? That's almost like, that's a declaration of war, isn't it? You're going to say that you're going to send the feds into Colorado to shut down all the dispensaries and all the businesses and to make sure grandma isn't smoking her pot? My God, that should make you jump out of your goddamn chairs, Colorado, for those who believe Just shit. 64% of Americans are for marijuana legalization. Already 9 states plus D.C. is for legalization. It's also morally right. We have a right to do what we want to our own bodies. As Americans, do we not believe we have a right to our own body? Do we not have a right to our own bodies? Get the fuck out of here. So compared to article, it's no comparison whatsoever. Nobody has ever overdosed on marijuana, only on the smoke inhalation, but never marijuana itself. There's 30 shadow wars in Africa, so he's been financing the war on terror, the unlimited war, the forever war. Scott Tipton has been financing it over and over again. There's 30 shadow wars in Africa now. He's escalated Afghanistan. We're still hunting for Osama bin Laden in Afghanistan, but guess what? He was in fucking Pakistan. So what the fuck are we still doing in Afghanistan? Alamosa, Huerfano, Custer County, are you listening? This is your representative too. This is what Scott Tipton has been doing. Millennials losing net neutrality is like Frodo losing the ring. Shit for Brains is working overtime and turning his shit show presidency into a shithole nation. He is a shithole, a hole that we all should just take a shit in. It's weird though how he says a cuss word, and he said he doesn't know how to cuss right. He sucks at cussing. He just can't wait to say a fucking, oh, well, pooper scoopers, damn turd nugget, goddamn fucking shithole. Is President Shit for Brains, is he racist or not? I don't know. He's very much a racialist. He sees cultural differences. He fans the flames of the worst elements of our society. I'm not for sure if he's racist or not, but I do know that President Shit for Brains is a piece of shit. He is a nobody doing a bunch of nothing for a bunch of nobody. So it's one big shit show. He's a piece of shit, but it is a shit show. So I guess he's the star. A piece of shit would. And Bush got us legislation passed to fund mental health care and drug abuse prevention treatment programs. That's the direction we should be going, towards treatment like Switzerland and Portugal. And, all the options. We got about a dozen different models, anti-war on drugs models. We need to listen to them. It's a public health menace. Switzerland lets the heroin addicts inject their heroin with a doctor present to make sure it's done properly and the needles are disposed of properly. We can't stop it, but we can reduce the harm. So you actually want to get rid of the homeless and get rid of the hypodermic needles and the druggies. It's cheaper to give a shit about those people. And I know people want to discard them and just throw them out like they ain't shit. But we can't do that. Diane Bush wants to address the opioid crisis with enough funds. We don't have sufficient funds. Diane Bush stimulated rural businesses and rural job growth by simplify complex hydroelectric permitting processes for small facilities. So now hydroelectric, it's easy for small businesses, small facilities through HB 141030 to get a permit for a hydroelectric plant. So if you were thinking about establishing a hydroelectric plant, small business, average working class man or woman, Diane Bush made it easier for you to do so. She also incentivized community solar gardens by simplifying geographic and jurisdictional requirements. So community solar gardens. How come we don't have any community solar gardens? We got a shit ton of goat heads all over the place. Come to Bessemer, the land of goat heads, where there's no representation, where the poor... Diane Bush protected our air and water quality, wildlife, and the public lands. Diane Bush will protect programs that help hardworking people such as Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, Pell Grants, USDA loans and grants. Diane Bush, healthcare is a right for Diane Bush. She'll make sure we get Medicare for all. She'll fight for it. H.R. 676, whatever that House bill is. I think it's 676, Medicare for all. With the Hanlon guy, Peter, John Paul, whatever his name is, the guy running against Diane Bush, the Puebloan people would get the exact same shit that we've gotten with the Scotch Rich Tipton Jr. III for the past 10 years. We've had the same Republican bullshit for 10 fucking years. Scott Tipton doesn't want universal health care. Landlin doesn't want health care. Only Diane Bush wants universal health care. So why is the hell would that Landlin, why are you running as a Democrat? Landlin, you're a fucking Republican, and just, get over yourself. You're a right-wing fucking Republican. That's Carl Hanlon, right-wing Republican. Bush will increase services for veterans. Diane Bush will protect our environment, protect our air and water quality, our wildlife habitat, and our public lands. Who's Scott Tipton? What's Scott Tipton going to do for the Piceance Basin? He's trying to exploit it, sell our coal, sell our natural gas, and go ahead and give all of our oil away to SG Interest, to private companies. He got $6,000 from SG Interest, so it's in Southern Gas. So the Southern Gas Company, this is from OpenSecrets.org, and they only gave it to Tipton, nobody else, $6,000. So Tipton is their man. They are banking on their old gentle farm boy with the Bieber hair, the old mangy straw-like Bieber hair, to get their business, to get their agenda passed. And that's Scott and Robert Guin. That's Russell Gordy, Sean Gordy, Sharon Scott, Robert Guin. Those are the only four individuals that Scott Tipton gives a goddamn about. Interest, I mean, I can't hate them, but they're from out of Houston, Texas. 100 Wall Drive, Houston, Texas. Give them a call, 713-951-0100. This is SG Interest, Southern Gas Interest. It's a company, a multi-state company out of Houston, Texas, trying to steal our raw materials, our raw resources of Colorado. And Scott Tipton is helping them do it. And all he needed to do, because Scott Tipton is the SG Interest #1 bitch, that's their guy. That's their guy when it goes to Congress. They're the ones sending Scott Tipton to Congress, not the people of this district. SG Interest, the oil and gas lobby, the oil and gas company. That's all they give a shit about. Stealing our coal, stealing our oil, and stealing our natural gas for fracking. And the only how they did that was just give him $6,000. Hey, Scott Tipton, here's $6,000. They legally bribed him, and now he's important point to make. I'm going to make it again. So the Piceance Basin, you got the western third of Colorado, the most beautiful district in the entire United States, the western slopes of the Rocky Mountains, and you have this fucking prick, Scott Tipton, giving all that Piceance Basin to the SG Interest, to Southern Gas Interest, to a Houston, Texas company, to Russell Gordy, Sean Gordy, Sharon Scott, and Robert Guin. You don't believe me? 713-951-0100. Call Russell Gordy, Sean Gordy. Give the Gordy brothers a call, or Sharon Scott, or Robert Guin. Robert Guin, who is in charge of the land. So Robert Guin wants to buy as much land, or try to just buy the raw materials. Don't buy the surface land. Just buy the land underneath of the land. It's cheaper for them. It's fucked. Doesn't make any damn sense. They could steal a bunch of shit underneath your fucking land. I'm not for sure exactly how Colorado is doing this shit, but that shit. Piceance Basin has a shit ton of oil shale and coal and natural gas, and that is making SG Interest, Southern Gas, foaming at the mouth. SG Interest can't wait to get their fucking hands on Colorado's coal and Colorado's oil and Colorado's natural gas, and Scott Tipton is going to help this private company. He's going to say he's doing it for jobs, he's doing it for progress, he's doing it for production. Where's all the profits going to go? So they're going to take our raw materials, and then they're going to get paid for doing this shit. And then who gets money? Well, a few people might get some fucking jobs. Meanwhile, the headquarters is in Houston, Texas. So they're taking our damn raw materials, and they're taking our wealth. They're taking all of it. And Scott Tipton, it's a good question. You should ask yourself, does Scott Tipton give a shit about me as a member of the public of the 3rd Congressional District, or does he give a shit about Russell Gordy, Sean Gordy, Sharon Scott, Robert Guin, the SG Interest company out of Houston, Texas? Because I think he cares more about them than he does. Has been the U.S. representative for the 3rd Congressional District for the past 8 years. Here in Pueblo, we got 25% poverty rate. So who's fighting for the working class and the middle class and the poor and the homeless people? Not Scott Tipton of Pueblo. Nobody's fighting for the people of Pueblo. There is no progressives in Pueblo. Is there? Name somebody, please. Somebody mention a progressive that's in power. Name one fucking progressive. Scott Tipton has been representing Pueblo for the past 10 years. A right-wing Republican, loves Trump. Give me a break. And what's he done for us? Scott Tipton's been in there for nearly a decade. So let's just, Diane Bush has legislative accomplishments from Colorado State, and Scott Tipton's got a bunch of legislative accomplishments from the federal government. So let's just look at Scott Tipton's record. What does he actually believe? He's not a friend of peace. He wants more war, and he wants war nonstop. He's pushing for nuclear war with Russia, Iran, North Korea. Administration has severed net neutrality. The Trump administration is not a friend of privacy or internet freedom. Scott Tipton isn't either. He's not a friend of peace. He's not a friend of privacy. The U.S. Patriot Act still allows the NSA to have illegal wiretap surveillance of all the emails and phone calls, and Scott Tipton voted in favor of it for another 6 fucking years. Hey, good job, Pueblo County. You elected a representative that just said, I mean, this is the shit that he does. His policies are horrendous, are horrible. He's a warmonger. He's not a friend of peace. He's not a friend to privacy. He's not a friend to the working class peoples, to the working class families. He's an enemy to family. If families cared about each other, they'd talk to each other. Scott fucking Tipton doesn't get that. That's why he's allowing the ranchers and the encomiendas to beat the shit out of their kids and have trafficking. So child abuse and trafficking, that's what Scott Tipton believes. He doesn't have any moral scruples. Don't fall for his pretend lip service to the children's health insurance program, but Scott Tipton does not believe in it. Scott Tipton is an enemy to the health of children. Scott Tipton is an enemy to women, to children, to families, to Chicanos, to Chicano babies. Scott Tipton is an enemy to peace. He's an enemy to the environment. He's a homophobic bigot. He's an enemy of love, an enemy of equality, enemy of right and wrong. Scott Tipton is wrong when it comes to gay homosexual rights. Scott Tipton is an enemy of Social Security, enemy of Medicare, Medicaid, enemy of universal health care. He's enemy of child care, enemy of family leave, enemy of labor and unions. Scott Tipton is an enemy of farmers. He's anti-life. Anti-health care is anti-life. How can Scott Tipton speak up for the working class when he has he ever even had a goddamn job? He was selling pottery. I'm sure that was an essential thing that community needed, a pottery business. Okay, fine, sell what you want. But, I mean, pottery? Which industry is older, prostitution or pottery? The Utes in the Yicarria Appalachians, Apaches have been making pottery in this district for the past 14,000 years. I don't think there's anything more old school than pottery. Routt County, Jackson County, Rio Blanco County. Are you paying attention? Scott the Wretch Tipton is an enemy of women. He refused to sign the Paycheck Fairness Act. How come he doesn't want the paychecks to be fair? Scott Tipton is an enemy of peace. He's never met a war he didn't like. He's an enemy of Chicanos and of homosexuals and of those who plan their parenthoods. Scott Tipton is an enemy of the dreamers. He's a rank and file Republican. Nothing dynamic, will vote the party line. He won't be much of an influence. Few people will listen to him. But he goes along with Trump, the enemy of Palestine, enemy of the two-state solution. Tipton is anti-universal health care. He's probably even anti-college and education. He's bad for Colorado. Scott Tipton is bad for America. This is the wrong direction. Pueblo, why the fuck have you been going along with this asshole for the past 10 years? He's bad for women, bad on peace. He's for unlimited war. He's a war hawk. He doesn't care for labor. He doesn't care for unions. He doesn't care for the environment. He doesn't care. What the fuck does he give a shit about besides SG interest in one tiny company, 4 fucking people, the Gordy brothers? He loves the Gordy brothers, and he loves, that lady and that guy, so 4 fucking individuals. He's a president shit-for-brains stooge. He does whatever President shit-for-brains wants him to do. Even when he was grabbing pussies, Tipton didn't change his endorsement. So he's for arming ISIS, he's for unlimited war, he's for al-Qaeda terrorists in Syria. He's bad on the environment, bad for labor, bad for farmers. He's bad for the working class and the poor.